All right. So was human aggression?
It's both.
Okay. Fill me in.
More so if we take him to like Humboldt
Okay.
and there's other dogs and even daycare, he's great. There's no, like he's intrigued by seeing them, but he'll play with them. There's no like, it just looks like a happy dog.
Sure.
If we're in a space like an enclosed park or something, that's when recently, it's probably 6 months ago was the first one, to where he like loses it and tries to get out of the gate or whatever and goes after the dog.
Okay.
He's done that twice now.
Okay. It's like a kind of a dog park type setting, or like a...
No, it's like one is just like a little playground area by our house where my wife took him at like, it was like 7:30 at night.
Sure.
And no one was there, and she was just kind of throwing the ball for him, trying to burn some energy at the end of the night. And he wiggled his way in between the post and went after the dog in the alley that was being walked.
Okay. Was it a full-blown like attack?
Yeah.
Okay.
He didn't, there's never like any bite marks or anything, but like his haunches are up, he's going after him. And then he wiggled his way out of another, there's like a little dog park, we live right over here area. The fence isn't very secure, and like we were in the middle of playing, like he's running around having a good time, and then and they have like that black kind of tarp looking stuff to block.
Over the fence, yeah.
Like he couldn't even see, and then all of a sudden it just flipped and he
went.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So he has gotten into it with our neighbor dog as well.
Okay.
That one he did, well, I don't know, honestly, I don't know if the other dog accidentally, like, sounds stupid, but like bit himself.
Okay.
Because our dog Fitz didn't have any like blood or anything like that, but the other dog did have a puncture wound.
On a jowl or something?
It was on his like back area.
Okay.
So we paid for that visit. Everything was fine,
Okay.
but and then so that's like his dog aggression. And on walks, if he sees, we've kind of narrowed it down to, it seems like it's bigger dogs. Like when he sees like a little small dog, he's fine. But like bigger dogs his size, and so for whatever reason, black dogs, those have been all the three that he's gone after.
Okay.
And on walks, he's fine, and then all of a sudden he sees them and instantly lunges and starts growling.
Okay. Pit shepherd mix, right?
Yeah.
Does it look more pit or more shepherd?
He looks almost kind of more like Cane Corso-y.
Okay. What's his weight?
He's 60
Okay.
pounds. I'll show a picture here. We got him from Paws, so that's.
Oh yeah. Okay.
He'll be 2 actually on Wednesday.
Okay.
So that's his dog aggression, and the people aggression. You know, we tried to do all the socialization with him, but he, like when someone comes in, even like if we're really good about crating him when we leave, he loves his crate, he's fine going in, it's not like a punishment to him. But if we do leave him out, we're running around real quick and coming right back, he does run in the door barking. And then when someone comes into the house, he's very, not lungy, but he's definitely barking, and his haunches are up, and he's confrontational for sure.
Okay.
And then if we're like standing, that's why I didn't want to bring him today, because he's very reactive of like, if I'm talking to another human at first, he gets very riled up about that. So that's kind of where we're at.
Have you tried training on your own?
So we did, like when we first got him, we got into puppy classes at Call of the Wild. He did 2 rounds of that. And then we did a private session with one of the, I think her name was Shayna from Tucker Pups.
Okay.
And then we've tried to do some training like on our own. If I'm walking with him and I have treats, and just from some of the stuff we learned from the Tucker Pups lady is like, as soon as his attention goes away, call him back and then give him a treat. That's kind of what works so like the best as far as trying to management and on the walks. And he doesn't seem to get as excited or nervous, but he's a very flinchy, anxious dog as well.
Okay. It's most likely where everything's coming from.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What age did you get him?
We got him in January, so he was like 4 months.
Okay. When did you notice this behavior start to kind of crop up?
So he was always very anxious when we got him. But it was actually the first time we ever saw anything. He would have been about 7 months. We took him to, my wife's family has a lake house in New York. And her mom and her are walking him, and they stop to talk to the neighbor, and like out of nowhere he starts like lunging and barking as they're talking to the neighbor. And then later that weekend, he's running around, he's having a good time, and a little girl actually was like going to reach for my wife, and he like came up and he didn't bite her or anything, but he definitely gave her some warning. Like,
nips.
yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. And you said this was, sorry, how many months?
This is about 7. He was born in October. This would have been in July.
So 7 months? You
7, 8 months, yeah.
Makes sense. So, and you said even at the 4 months when you got him, you noticed these kind of anxious behavior.
Yeah, like even when we picked him up, he was like very shaky.
Yeah.
When he was with a litter when we got him,
Okay.
he was the one, which we thought was a great idea, standing like in the corner by himself. And we're like, oh, look at the quiet, perfect one sitting there by himself,
Yeah,
you know?
that's the antisocial one.
Yeah, and he's got like the little sad puppy dog eyes.
Yeah.
So he was always a little anxious. And then it seems like it's just gotten progressively worse. Yeah. And fireworks could go off, a loud truck could backfire, doesn't flinch. You drop a pin on the floor and it's like,
oh wow, that's funny.
Yeah. And then like every time I move, he gets up, wants to follow me.
Very attached, no separation anxiety?
I don't really think so. Like,
because you crate him, you said, right?
Yeah.
And he doesn't howl or anything like that?
No, he'll only do that if we have people over, because now we don't feel comfortable.
Sure.
And I put him in the crate in the back. He'll howl for a little while.
I gotcha.
In the crate, but I think it's because he knows we're out there.
For sure. Okay. So all this makes sense to me. So a few things that you've said so far would be like the isolated puppy.
Yep.
Right. It's a very common thing. Where like usually people think of it as like, oh, it's the quiet puppy, it's the calm puppy. And I'm like, nope, that's the antisocial one.
Yeah.
The other ones that are romping around, playing, and harassing each other, like those are actually the normal.
Yeah.
So that's already insecure there.
Yeah.
Right. So that's genetics. Okay. So that's nothing that you did wrong. That's nothing that because I have a dog here that is one of my worst cases in 15 years. Not aggressive. He's scared of everything.
Yeah.
And it's a Bernese, and it's the third dog from the same breeder. But you look at him, and he's already like 10 months, and he's like half the size of a burner.
Right.
So there's that. His legs look wonky, but then also he's just scared of everything. So I told her it's just bad genetics.
Yeah.
But she kept blaming her, and her husband kept blaming themselves. And I'm like, you didn't do anything wrong. It's like literally just bad genetics.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's that. The dogs have like 3 moments in their lives where they go through like psychological shifts. 6 months, a year, and 2 months.
Right.
So that 7 to 8 month mark is close enough to that 6 months, because where they start coming into their own.
Yeah.
If you're familiar with like child development, I look at 6 months as terrible twos brain, teenager body. A year is teenager brain, adult body. 2 years is adult dog.
Right.
Okay. So most of the time, when a client notes like, oh, these behaviors started, it'll be around 6 months in a year, the most common ones.
Yeah.
Okay. Sometimes there's a catalyst where they're like, my dog was completely normal, and then they got attacked by a dog at the dog park when they were 6 months, and like a switch, they were aggressive. I'm like, yeah, it's because it happened right at that time. It can happen outside of that time as well. It's just very rare. So like I had a client whose dog was like a 3 to 4 year old golden doodle, attacked by an off-leash dog that she was walking around the neighborhood, completely friendly, completely social. After the attack, hated all dogs after the next day. Okay, so it can happen. It's just more commonly it happens around these certain timelines. Okay, so it sounds like you have an anxious dog for sure.
Yeah.
It can happen where a dog will target certain dogs, like you said, like black dogs or like husky type dogs,
Yeah.
whatever it is. Like that does happen. Okay. What's nice about that is we can already anticipate and predict, so it allows us to kind of be ready for
Right.
something. So for me as a dog trainer 15 years, I can already predict certain things. So the dog that you just saw that
Yeah.
left here, the previous trainer only had one lesson with them and told them the dog was too aggressive, and then ghosted them.
Yeah.
And I see her, and she's like, "Oh, do you?" Because I have to hand her the mic.
Right.
And she's like, "I'm like, I'm not scared of your dog," and I just handed her the mic, right? Because I already knew. I saw that I'm like, "You're a fearful dog. You're not going to come at me. If I ignore you, you'll be completely neutral for the most part."
Yeah.
And that's pretty much what happened, But she was surprised when I told her, "I'm like, I'm not afraid of your dog." She's like, "Really?" I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Because I know he's not going to do anything if I avoid certain things."
Right.
So once you understand dog behavior, it allows you to avoid certain problems, but then also allows you to anticipate we're going to have a problem here. So now I can address the problem when it's going to happen.
Right.
Okay. I'm assuming before booking this, you read on how I train.
Yeah.
I use. So I
Yep.
use prong collar, knee collar.
Yep.
Okay.
We
I-
walk them with the prong.
Prong? Okay.
Yep.
So prong is a great tool. The issue with prongs is that if a dog is too far gone, is too under stress, it's not enough pressure to get through all of that.
Right.
Right. So especially let's say the German Shepherd, because with German Shepherds they have that thick coat.
Right.
Is the owner's like, I correct the dog and they just continue to lunge. I'm like, well, one, because you can't match their intensity, and two, because they have that padded
Right,
neck with the fur. But it's a great tool. Remote collar, it doesn't matter. If it's a short-coated dog, a thick-coated dog, if it's a small dog or a 150-pound dog, as long as I have the appropriate collar for the dog, I can stop the behavior. Okay. What it's going to take to stop the behavior, I don't know. I figure all that stuff during the training.
Yep.
It's also at the press of a button. So like when I work with couples, if we're doing prong collar, and one of the reasons I don't do prong collar anymore is like I've had couples where like the girlfriend's 5 foot and the boyfriend's like 6'5".
That's exactly what we got going on.
Yeah.
My wife's 5'1".
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like you could do a firm enough correction that your dog could respect it, right?
Yeah.
But she doesn't have the physical strength to replicate that.
Right.
There's also skill factor. So with remote collar, it don't matter. If she has the remote or you have the remote, as long as it's set to the correct number, the dog's gonna give us what we're looking for.
Right.
Okay. And I've worked with clients, like I've had clients that are like 7 years old and they go and get a 100-pound German Shepherd. And I'm like, why would you do this?
Right, right.
But I know with remote collar, I'm more at ease because I'm
Sure.
like, I don't have to worry about your strength because the tool will do the work for us.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you familiar with the technology of e-collar is?
We are. We tried to do a session. I don't remember this guy's name. But it didn't seem like he understood the severity of it.
The guy that was using it?
Yeah,
Okay.
like the trainer that we did one like consultation kind of thing with them, and it was we stopped after that. So we're familiar with the idea of it, and we're comfortable with it. It's just
Not the right person.
yeah, because I think we were only going to make it worse with that, like not doing it properly, and then like he's just associating just from the stuff we've read online, like that collar is just going to keep making it worse because we're not properly trained on how to do it with him.
So conditioning is super important.
Yeah.
Okay. Conditioning is the dog learning how it turns on and how it turns off.
Right.
If we don't have that, we make things worse. If you read the manual of an e-collar, it'll say do not use on aggressive dogs.
Right.
Okay? And that's a yes and no type thing.
Sure.
Because, especially if it's just the average dog owner, right? I know nothing about training or whatever. And you read that, like that becomes a deterrent. So I agree with it. But yes, because I train aggressive dogs all the time.
Right.
It's just, this has to be done correctly. Most trainers, in my opinion, train it incorrectly. They tend to think of it as punishment based. Okay. So the difference between how I would use it and punishment based would be most trainers shape the behaviors using food, right? So
Yeah.
let's say sit, right? Okay. So dog knows how to sit now.
Right.
And then they take the dog outside and there's distractions and they go sit. And the dog doesn't sit because they're distracted. And then they punish the dog, right? Those are very far apart, right? You go from I reward you, I praise you, I love you to this thing on your neck will suck, right? And there's no bridge.
Right.
So everything that we teach, we have to teach with the tool. Have you ever pulled up and then pushed down on your dog's butt to make them sit?
Yes, not all. I have had
You have,
to.
right?
Yeah.
So up on the collar, down on the butt, right? Dog sits. And then what happens?
He doesn't sit.
Well, ideally he would sit, right?
Yeah.
So if he did sit, what would then happen, you think? With the prong in your hand?
He would just associate that up every time.
Yes, right? But then also you would relinquish the pressure.
Right.
Okay. It's the same thing with remote collar. Okay. So our collars have 127 levels.
Okay.
We always start at 15 because that's where most dogs tend to feel it. Okay. Every now and then I get a dog that's less than 15. That's like one dog a year. Super rare. Okay. We start at 15. And if I know he feels it, then we will be at 15. If he doesn't feel it, I go up. Okay. Until I know, and because you can see the contraction.
Right.
And we slowly go up. And we find what we dub the dog's working number, which is the number that's going to incentivize the dog to want to do something.
Right.
Okay, but not so high that they're like, whoa.
What the hell? Yeah.
So let's say it's 25. I lightly pull up. I press on the hindquarters. I tap on the collar. He sits. Everything would stop. He gets up. It turns back on again. He sits. Everything would stop. Right.
Yeah.
So that's conditioning the collar. So he goes, okay, this thing turns on. It's kind of annoying. I don't like it. But when I sit, it disappears.
Right.
So now I know when I feel this, if I do this, it should go away, right? That's conditioning.
Yeah.
So a lot of trainers also will assume if we have, especially aggressive behaviors, to force the behavior and then correct the behavior, right? Which is, it's an approach, it's just not the first approach, okay? That's another thing. If we've not conditioned the collar correctly and we just take the dog out and just punish them with this thing that they don't understand,
Right.
it's gonna create more stress.
Right.
So I had a consult I did a couple years ago. The dog finished a 2-week board and train on e-collar, and it was a year later. And whenever the collar was on, the dog was hyper anxious, salivating, well, okay. The owner was meeting with me, and the dog was still exhibiting the reactivity.
Sure.
So it didn't get better. So as soon as they show up, the dog's on the e-collar,
Yeah.
and I'm like, okay, fill me in, right? And they tell me that stuff. I'm like, all right. I was like, I can tell you right now, your dog's not conditioned correctly. And they go, well, how do you know? I'm like, well, one, you completed that board and train a year ago.
Right.
And your dog, and you just said that your dog is always anxious when you put the collar on, because that's why they didn't like using the collar, because it was like, I don't like seeing my dog like this.
Right.
So I'm like, if it's been a year, there's been plenty of exposure, and the dog's not over the collar yet, then that's definitely improper conditioning.
Right.
But then also, I was like, your behaviors are still happening, like the reactivity is still happening.
Right.
Okay? So they end up moving forward with the training. We did the heel exercise, which is leash walking.
Yeah.
Always the first thing that we do. And I go, I'm not going to see you in 2 weeks. Okay. They came back 2 weeks later. Dog was as calm as could be. And they said, Jesse, this is so crazy. And I said, because he already had plenty of exposure.
Right.
He already had plenty of experience. He just didn't understand it.
Right.
It was still random to him when the collar was turning on. Because I conditioned it correctly and the dog now understands, now all the exposure kicks into play. He's like, oh, okay, cool, I know what this does.
Right.
And now the dog is relaxed.
Right.
Okay. So it's an unfortunate thing, but just because someone uses e-collar doesn't mean they know how to use it correctly.
Right.
And there's a lot of trainers now that use it, and it's just the way of the world.
Yeah.
But it is safe to use. It's the best training tool, in my opinion. Any dog that comes to me that's over 6 months is leaving here on an e-collar. Okay. It's not because I'm lazy. It's not because I don't want to take the time to build a relationship with the dog, because that's all the stuff you'll read online.
Right.
Okay. It's because you're not a dog trainer. Right? You want something that's simple to understand, that is easy to use, and that is effective.
Right.
That's why I do it. It's very logic based. I don't even have to touch the dog anymore. You would show up with your dog, you have your leash, you have your e-collar. I would walk you through the exercises. I would coach you through everything.
Yep.
I'd give you your homework, and then you'd go and practice, and you'd come back in a week. Okay? And then you give me feedback.
Right.
And you go, Jesse, we've seen this progress. We've not seen progress here. We've seen changes here. Right? I go, okay, cool. All that tells me what I need to do next. Then we do the next batch of things, right?
Right.
And we just keep progressing little by little. But very rarely do I ever have to handle a dog on behalf of the owner. And it's typically like, it's the dog. Like right now with this dog, at the end, when you saw him pull up, you saw the dog jumped up and put his paws.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was trying to take control. But that dog gave it up relatively easily.
Yeah.
I get dogs that will fight.
Sure.
Okay. I had one dog in particular recently. It was 30 minutes before it finally gave up and relinquished, because what they're trying to do is take back control.
Right.
Okay. So I stepped in for the owner, because I'm like, this is going to be too difficult for you.
Yeah.
And I had to work the dog through it. But then once we worked the dog through it, it was easier. Then I said, okay, here you go. Back to the owner again. Okay. So The reason why the e-collar is so effective, in my opinion, is because it's as close to a dog bite as we can get without actually biting the dog.
Right.
Because that's how dogs communicate.
Right.
You know, they nip and bite each other. They nip and bite as a form of play. They nip and bite as a form of correction. They nip and bite as a form of affection, as a form of protection, right?
Right.
So the e-collar I like to refer to as a bite on a button. It's a muscle contraction. It's just a muscle stimulator.
Yeah.
And when conditioned correctly, now I have active communication that's immediate, right? So like, let's say, what's your dog's name?
Fitz.
Fitz. Let's say Fitz sees a dog,
Yep.
and it's a black dog, right? Hackles go up, and you see him loading, and we've conditioned the e-collar, and you correct him, it's going to snap him out of that, and then he's going to redirect and do something else, all right? So we've just told him actively that's not allowed, similar to a dog coming in and biting him to tell him we don't want you to do that,
Right.
okay? But that's where conditioning comes into play.
Yeah.
If it's not conditioned, you can actually provoke the behavior. And as a side note, it's not uncommon in the beginning, depending on the severity of the reactivity, that when we press the button, the dog will still react.
Sure.
Okay? When that happens, it's because the dog is so tuned in to that trigger
Yeah.
or that stimuli that when this happens, it's tying it to the stimuli. So then we have to continue with the collar until the dog stops.
Sure.
Now the dog goes, okay, that thing turned on. I began lunging. The thing continued to stay on and did not turn off until I decided to stop the behavior. And that's what teaches the dog, okay, that thing doesn't mean to become reactive. It means the opposite.
Right.
Okay, and again, that's just conditioning type stuff. Okay? Questions on any of that?
No, that makes perfect sense.
So, so the first thing that we always do is heel, which is leash walking. The reason is it's a non-confrontational way of layering in the e-collar. Most people in the city of Chicago walk their dogs 3 times a day, 7 days a week. So that's 3 times a day, 7 days a week. We get to practice this exercise.
Right.
Okay? So if you have an anxious dog,
Yeah.
which it sounds like you do, don't be surprised if in the beginning you see an increase in anxiety.
Okay.
Okay? Anxiety is a stress response.
Right.
E-collar is a stressor. So if we're going to be training in controlled context, we're putting the dog under stress, spikes the anxiety.
Right.
But then through the repetition, the dog goes, oh, okay, I can handle this. And then the anxiety starts to drop. Okay? The next thing is reactivity and the stuff that you're seeing are stress responses as well.
Yeah.
Where he's like, maybe I feel threatened or whatever, I'm going to go after this, right? Is theoretically, if we're putting the dog under stress, working them through the stress, and then teaching them how to handle stress, they can handle stress better.
Right.
So now the thing that used to stress them out before doesn't stress them out anymore.
Right.
Okay, so I have a case right now, Otto, the burner,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
4-week board and train, who's scared of everything. His worst nightmare is a CTA train. And I'm right under the CTA.
Right. Right.
When I did the consult, we were at Oz Park. So you probably were at Larrabee and Webster.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
We were at that corner. You can still hear the train. There's a train, CT train, like half a mile away.
Yeah.
He was scared from that distance.
Oh wow.
Okay, this is a very high fear flight response dog. So he's doing much better now. He's gonna plateau at some point, but way better than what I expected.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is now we can walk him under the train and he no longer tries to escape. Like he sits there and he's shaking, but he's no longer like, get
Right.
me out of here.
Yeah.
Because we've exposed him to stress, to a degree worse stress, and he's handled it. So now when he's at the train, he's like, you know what? I've had worse stress than this. This is not an issue anymore.
Right.
You see?
Right.
So that's how all this theoretically works. Now let's say we do the exercises and he's still being reactive. Okay? It's not a big deal. It just means the indirect approach isn't working. So indirect is we teach heel. What does it fix? In some cases, it's literally a 180.
Right.
Where a client will come back and like, Jesse, no reactivity since we had our first class. I'm like, cool, easy peasy. And I get other cases where it's like we're on class 4 and the dog is still reactive. I go, no problem. We just make sure we do all our groundwork first.
Yeah.
Make sure we do all the easy stuff first. And then if it's like, okay, the dog's still reactive, then I know I have to correct the dog for the act itself. Okay, so the dog has to learn the act of lunging at a dog
Right.
will cause the collar to turn on, and then we start to deter the behavior that way.
Got it. Okay.
So that's what we call a direct approach, because that's why I said earlier, I was like, people think we walk out, force the behavior, and punish the behavior.
Yeah.
I go, it's an approach, it's just not the first approach.
Right.
Okay, because by the time we do that, again, we've had our conditioning down, then now the dog understands, okay, this thing is turning on because he wants me to stop what I'm doing.
Right.
Okay, and then it's just rinse and repeat. Correcting reactivity and stuff is actually easy. It's if the dog is completely antisocial, like the dog that was here, is both human and dog reactive, but it's also antisocial with dogs. They tried to attack his brother's dog when they tried to socialize him. And I told him the reactivity is easy. Getting him to like your brother's dog is the hard part.
Right.
Okay. But it's doable. Like I have exercises that I'll show you and we'll practice them. I can't guarantee the dog will like the other dog.
Right.
But we can see.
Right.
So things like that are easier. You said with people coming over as well. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that one, it's reasonable to think that he can learn to open up to people he would see again, relatives, friends, right? People he'd see on a one-off time, I wouldn't expect it because it's there's no trust there.
Right.
If you have a plumber coming over, I would just tell you put your dog away.
Yeah.
That there's no point in that. It's not going to benefit you, and the plumber's not there to help you with your dog either.
Right.
But people that he would see over and over again, that's realistic. Okay, and that's partially me showing you how to have people enter your home correctly. And then it's partially putting what we call social pressure on them, meaning like I'd have to pet them and stuff.
Yeah.
On my terms, which is so before you came in, I have a sleeve right there. You see that thing with the green on the end there?
Yeah.
Oh, lower these fans. He's like, oh, can you touch my dog to see if he'll bite? And I said, sure. So I pulled the sleeve out and the dog didn't do anything at all. But they've seen the dog go after,
Right.
So there's obviously it's there. But I told him he doesn't want to go after me. And it wasn't until the second time I went to pet him, because I walked away and came back, did he actively bite the sleeve, and it was like super subtle. Okay.
Yeah.
But we have to do that if we're going to try to get the dog to be social with people.
Right.
'Cause in their mind, that's the worst thing that can happen. And if we never cover that, then it always ends up being where he stays stuck because there's never been a personal, physical connection with the potential threat. Okay.
What's weird too is there's like 3 people that he is okay with, our aunt and uncle, and then one of our friends. But the last time we were at the aunt and uncle's, he was good for like the first hour, maybe even 2, and then like he randomly starts giving off like these little like, like I don't know, like warning shots almost. It seemed like to where he's like, okay, I've had enough here, being nice.
Yeah. No, like that can happen. I mean, kind of wearing out your welcome.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it does happen with dogs. But that's why when we have a person enter the home correctly, it's on our terms and not the dog's terms.
Right.
Because like some clients will know, like, okay, my dog is like people, but if they ignore them, they'll calm down.
Yeah.
Right. But then if the people start clapping or if they laugh really loud, right, they'll trigger. That's typically a nervous response. And I go, it's because when they enter, no one's putting any social pressure on the dog. But then when things get out of hand, the dog's like, I don't like that.
Right.
And then you see them trigger. Right. Or when the dog gets tired of like, okay, you guys have been here for an hour now, like it's time to go. Like that stuff does happen because the dog thinks it's on their terms.
Right.
So when you flip it and you go, nope, I'm having this person enter and you're going to chill out and you're going to be relaxed about it, then he's like, okay, then apparently you're in charge. This has nothing to do with me. If he did trigger and do like the warning shots, like you said, we can correct that. Okay. Other questions?
He does take basically like doggy Zoloft, whatever.
Is it like a triazole fluoxetine? It's an anxiety med.
Yeah, it's like a daily one though. So, what is it? I think it is Zoloft, the like generic name for Zoloft. He takes 25 milligrams in the morning, 25 at night.
How long has he been on that?
Probably 8 months to a year now.
Any changes?
No. No. The other thing too is like trying to get him to go to the vet. The last time we had to do like the whole gabapentin, trazodone, concoction. And he was so out of it, but still on a million around them. So like we had the
client
muzzle.
that just left did was the same thing.
Yeah, it looked very similar. Like
so the vet is an anomaly. Well, not it's I can't give a direct answer there for a couple of reasons, but I can help. One is typically at the vet, they don't know how to handle dogs like that correctly.
Right.
Okay. That's part of the problem. The other part of the problem is that when you go to the vet, there's a lot more going on in the background than you can hear, right? Your dog is picking up on a lot of stuff.
Right.
So that's part of the stress. Also, it tends to be hustle and bustle because it's like, okay, we got to get this client in, treat them, get to the next client, right? So then there's like the rushing energy too. And those things tend not to amount to a good thing. The other thing is when they do try to handle a dog that's acting out aggressively, you know, I've seen it where clients are like, yeah, there was like 4 vet techs pinning the dog down, and like the vet had to come in, like sneak in the shot and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, that also stresses out the dog more because now it's just like overpowering and the dog's just like freaking out.
Yeah.
Okay. So through the training, you would have the ability to stop and de-escalate your dog. The reason why it's a variable is because I don't know how the vet's going to interact with your dog.
Right.
So actually, this has happened with a client of mine recently. They went to a new vet, I think, and they told him, hey, our dog is weird with people, right? So please, like, don't be like,
Yeah.
Guess what the first thing the vet did?
Come in.
Yes. And then the dog just flipped out.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, and the vet was like, and then the vet was like, oh, I don't think that I can treat your dog. And they're like, well, this is why we said, please don't.
That's exactly what's happened. Yeah.
Yes. So the people that just left, their vet actually is scared of their dog. So I told them I'd help them find a new vet. But it's a variable because I don't know what they're going to do.
Right.
You know, and in some cases, the vet will also kind of look down on you, like, oh my goodness, you're using this tool,
Right.
right? It happens quite judgment, past judgment.
Right.
I've had some vets even reject some people
Yeah.
who use the e-collar. It's not everywhere, but if you need help finding one that would be more
Yeah.
to work with you,
I think so.
yeah, you just have to remind me.
Yeah.
So that's on my mind because I do have a couple of clients that have dogs with like behavioral issues, and they've been able to like work it out with their vet and stuff like that. Okay.
The other question is, I think we were so desperate of, you know, we were like, we got to do a board and train. How does it work? Like, do you evaluate the dog first and we do the like baseline stuff and you determine the
Sure,
plan?
it's like what I would recommend.
Yeah.
So there's pros and cons. The pro to an in-person program is you learn a ton more.
Right.
Okay. The con is it's going to take us time.
Sure.
You know, board and train is I get a lot done in a short amount of time.
Right.
But all the training is tied to us.
Right.
So I have to transfer that to you. But then also, if stuff is happening behind the scenes, like I don't always have a camera rolling, that you're missing out on information there.
Right.
Okay. So it's really just kind of personal preference. I know for some clients, they're like I have one right now, actually, Dudley, he's a little beagle who's bitten the owners a couple of times. And I told them in person, but they decided they wanted to do a 2-week board and train, use their follow-ups, and then if they needed, do more after that. And I was like, sure, not a problem. Okay. But in your case, like in that last client too, I told them the same thing. I said, in your case, I'd recommend in person. Okay.
Cool.
And I make more money off of board and train, by the way. Okay. So this benefits you.
Yeah.
Board and trains are easy money because I already know what to do. I do it on my own time. I get it done really quick, you know, and it's like, all right, here we go. But I know for the benefit of the client,
right?
It's really the end result. So, but if you want it, if for whatever reason you're like, well, we'd like to have a foundation, and then do, you know, the in-persons, that's fine too, like with Dudley.
Yeah.
But the board and trains do come with follow-ups.
Yeah. I think we would prefer the in-person because, you know, we would like to get to a point to where we're teaching him or continuing the education as opposed, just because my wife would love to be able to take him on a walk without, you know, worrying about her shoulder getting ripped off.
So, and when it's you yourself doing stuff, like hands-on, you know, like it's a very different experience, you know. And the other thing is to build confidence, right? Like the dog girl, I was like, I'm not worried about your dog. Because if things went south, I already know what to do.
Right.
Is for you guys, you know, when your dog becomes reactive and you correct them, right? And you see it work. And you see like, oh, wow, like I have the ability to do this, right? What we're doing is working. Confidence comes in.
Yep.
Okay. Other questions?
I don't think. How does the end? Is it once a week?
Yeah, so
okay.
it's generally once a week at a scheduled time,
Yep.
right? So you and your wife, you said?
Yep.
Yep. So like, you reach out to Tina, hey, you want to sign up, right? Here's our schedules. And you'd send her both your schedules where you're both available.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And she cross-references with my schedule. And she goes, okay, Jesse has availability at these points, right? And then like, let's say it was Saturday at 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
Every Saturday at 1 o'clock would be your time, okay, for an hour.
Mm-hmm.
And then usually towards the end, like class 9 or so,
Yeah.
like depending on how long the program is,
Yeah.
we start to space things out, okay? Because there's going to come a point where it's like I have all this homework
Right.
and I need more time to practice,
Right.
okay? So I might not see you for like a month or a month and a half or so.
Yeah.
And then you come back, you're like, hey, Jesse, everything's great, but then this happened and this is what we want to work on. You know, as long as I can recreate it, it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
So I always recommend that clients, when they do space out classes, I'll tell them, reach out to me first with what you want to work on. So I know if I can recreate it or not. Because if I
Right.
can't recreate it, then it's pointless and it's a waste of a class, okay? Most things we can. Or like the client will email me, and I'm like, here, do this.
Right.
And I'll email them the answer. And then sometimes they'll come back and they'll go, hey, it worked. I'm like, great, we saved ourselves a class. And other times, like, it didn't work. I'm like, all right, come and have class.
Right, right.
Okay? But generally, it's once a week for an hour.
Okay.
Okay. Now, so summer months this year, because I have a number of responsibilities here, I did Oz Park on the weekends, and I did here on during the weekdays. During the fall, once it starts to get too cold, I'm just here through
Right.
the winter. And then when things warm up again, I'm back at Oz Park.
Okay.
Where we train doesn't matter in terms of like the obedience and the reactivity stuff.
Yeah.
Because I teach you guys how to take what you've learned here and apply it in the world.
Yeah.
It's very common sense.
I even told my wife today, I'm like, oh, thank God I didn't bring them, because Oz Park would have been a
It's very busy.
yeah.
How was it when you were over there?
It was pretty busy.
Was it?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think
that's surprising considering it's a Monday.
yeah, it's probably like the marathon, Columbus Day. There's probably
That's
a lot
right.
of people.
It's Columbus Day. Yes, Oz Park is the busiest park in Chicago.
Yeah.
Statistically speaking, I had a client who was a judge, and her daughter, she would do research studies on the parks to see how much people were using them for like allocating funding
Sure.
and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And she's like, "This is the busiest park."
Yeah. It was a lot going on.
Yeah. So believe it or not, like I get some dogs that are very reactive, and we show up there day one and we just work through it, you know. So what's nice about it is that the client gets the experience,
Right.
But sometimes it can be overwhelming, you
Yep.
know. Where I've had clients where we show up there in class 1 and I'll tell them, you know what, next class let's be here,
Yeah.
and then we'll come back afterwards,
Right.
you know, because it's just hard with all that going on that it can be overwhelming for both the dog and the owner.
Yeah.
Whereas here, if we needed to create a controlled context, I could just grab a dog and
Right.
you know, make them be reactive.
Yeah.
But otherwise, where we train doesn't necessarily matter in terms of making progress.
Okay.
Okay. The key thing is, are you following the instructions? That's the key thing.
Right.
Okay. So the collar has 127 levels.
Yep.
I don't know what your dog's number is going to be.
Right.
It could be 25. It could be 65.
Right.
Is if you're not willing to go 65, if your dog's number is 65, then that's where I can't help you.
Right.
You know, your dog's intensity, whatever, is needing a harsher correction. When the client goes like, I can't do that, then I go, well, then your dog's not going to stop.
Right.
Okay. But everything is very logical. We always start low. We work our way up.
Yep.
Through the process. So if we do end up on 127, you're like, well, we did everything else and it didn't work.
Right.
You know?
Right.
In terms of like a very common question I get is, when does the collar go away? When you need it, it doesn't. So if you're out on a walk,
Yep.
he's going to be out at the park. If you have people coming over, you have your collar.
Right.
Okay? If you're using it correctly, you're not always using it. It's simply present.
Right.
In case something happens.
Yeah.
Okay. Dogs aren't dumb. They do become collar smart, where like when the collar's on, he'll be on his best behavior. And when the collar's off,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with my training skills. It has nothing to do with, you know, how much effort you put into it. It's like with humans.
They
If
picked
you
up
see
on
a squad car, you're like, I'm going to
Go to speed limit.
exactly, right? If I don't see a squad car, I'm going to press the speed limit
Right,
a little bit, right?
right.
It's just natural opportunistic behavior.
Yeah.
But when you're using it correctly, like he's going to be a completely different dog. Even with the collar off, you'll start to see changes.
Yeah.
But if there's an external stimuli, like a person knocking on a door or whatever, it creates these mental states that the average dog owner just has a hard time trying to control without tools.
Yeah.
Okay. Questions?
I don't think so. I think we would like to start to schedule like some the in-person training, because we're comfortable with e-collar. So the prong collar goes away then? Is that?
Yeah, a lot of times it does. You can use it with remote collar. They work. They're very safe to use with each other. A lot of people think they interact, and they don't. A lot. Depending on, like, let's say for your wife, for example, because you said she's 5'1".
Yeah.
She might feel more in control having both.
Yeah.
And that's completely fine. And if you just did, I'm going to do pure e-collar, I don't need the prong anymore, then that's completely fine too. It really comes down to personal preference.
Right.
A lot of times clients will move past the prong and go only remote. There's just sometimes where it's like, I had one lady, she was like probably like 100 pounds soaking wet with a 150-pound Great Dane who was leash reactive. And I told her, you need a prong and an e-collar.
Right,
and she lived in Bucktown, so like she would turn a corner and there's a dog.
Yeah.
So, and then that dog did great.
Yeah, okay.
So it just comes down to personal preference, but e-collar almost always becomes the primary tool.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you, I guess it's dog dependent, but when you move from the prong, should it be more of like a harness when you're walking, or can you do flat collar?
Yeah.
Okay.
We don't do harnesses. Harnesses promote pulling and can exacerbate reactivity.
Okay.
Okay, because of the tension. It also gives you less control.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just a regular flat collar and then the e-collar. We never want to clip the leash to the e-collar because if there's any tension on the leash, it's going to impact the contact.
Okay.
Other questions?
When we start, the only time we've used the muzzle with him was to go to the vet.
Sure.
Is that something like for the first one you would want?
No.
Okay.
No. The only time we need the muzzle would be like, let's say we're going to socialize them with like family members.
Yeah.
That's where you'll want it.
Yeah.
Right. Because there's going to be risks there.
Yeah.
I have my sleeve. I have a bite suit, 60-pound bite suit that I can wear, that all protects me.
Yeah.
That allows the dog to, if they want to fully bite, to bite, and then I can gauge the bite and all that stuff. And it's mainly for like information reasons for the owner.
Right.
Because I get a lot of people that show up and they're like, oh, my dog's the worst. And then I show them and I'm like, that was like a 1. They're like, oh my God, like it helps them just relax to understand.
Because that's what we feel like too, is that he's had the opportunity to do a lot of damage and he hasn't.
Yes.
So it almost feels like he's like, hey, back off.
Yeah. A lot of times it looks worse than it is.
Yeah.
I've seen where it's like the dogs, there's like no punctures. I'm completely surprised because I look like bad.
Yeah.
Because dogs are really good about biting and like gauging and all that stuff. They're really good about that. So, but yes, that's something that I would agree with, is that like that dog that just left you has charged 2 or 3 people and dogs, and then when it gets there, doesn't do anything.
Yep, that's the same.
But it looks bad because of the barking and the
yeah.
approach and everything. So
My last question is, at home, I don't know if this has any factor. He is the sweetest dog with just me and my wife. Like cuddly, calm for the most part. He started to do this thing at night where he just gets up and paces. Is that like a anxiety? Yeah.
Is there anything that happens before that? Like a loud boom?
No, like sometimes it's almost like he scares himself. We've started to notice too. Like we don't let him on the bed, but we do let him on the couch. And he'll be on the couch and nothing will happen. All of a sudden he'll just jolt up and jump off the couch and he's looking around. So
chances are he probably heard something that you guys aren't hearing.
Yeah.
Because dogs are very, like, they can, if you Google it, I'm sure it'll tell you what they can hear, I've had dogs startle themselves with their own farts.
He does that for sure.
Okay.
For sure.
That's also a possibility.
Yes. That is hilarious, but it's also, the first time I saw it, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
He just scared himself because he farted.
Yeah, it happens, So, and that kind of shows you just how high strung he is. So all that stuff should start to taper down, okay? Unfortunately, you have an anxious dog.
Yeah, right.
Genetically, right? What we can do is help them learn how to handle it better.
Right.
And then I teach you how do you handle and live with a nervous dog,
right.
Anxious dog. And those things together help you lead the best life that you can with your dog, okay? There's no such thing as perfection.
Right.
Things go wrong here.
Sure.
It's just very rare because I do run structure.
Yeah.
I do educate my staff on how to handle dogs. Like the dog that just came today, I've told my staff member, you're not going to handle this dog until I give you the okay.
Right.
It's only going to be me currently. And then once they're ready, then I go, and then I show them.
Okay.
You know, so that we avoid anything. But every now and then somebody makes a mistake. It's just very, very, very uncommon that it happens. In terms of, so obviously we have the behavior stuff, right?
Yep.
Obedience-wise, what are your goals with your dog?
We would love to be able, which I don't know if it's even a realistic thing, is to be able to control like off leash. Because we do enjoy taking him to like the huge area at Humboldt or like Forest Preserve, or he's pretty well, like as far as obedience, like his recall outside would be a big thing for us. Because he's great inside with all of that. Like we play the back and forth game. But it's when he's outside, like he doesn't respond to come.
Yeah.
Like,
the stimuli.
Yeah. Or even if we're just chilling there, it'll take him a second, and then he might kind of mosey on over on his own kind of terms. But those would be our biggest thing. Like he's, you know, when you tell him to sit, he'll sit. Even when he's like highly activated, he'll still sit, but then he's like poking his head around you. Like he seems to be a lot better with hand signals than words. But he'll lay down, he'll give you both paws. Even from strangers, he'll listen, but you can still tell he doesn't trust them.
Yeah, makes sense.
So that would be like our big, like recall. I don't know if you can ever beat a rabbit or a squirrel, but you know, just having that comfortability to.
Okay.
I think that would be the biggest thing for us, recall, and really just managing his obedience while he's super elevated.
Yeah. Okay. All that's normal for me. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not worried about any of that stuff.
Yeah.
So, reason why I ask is because it helps me determine which in-person program to recommend for you. Okay. I would put you at a 9 to 12. Okay. Just a quick breakdown. Heel has to happen.
Right.
That's 2 classes. Okay. There's 2 there. We have recall, which is going to be a class.
Yeah.
I also recommend place, which is stationary control. Places, go to your bed, don't move.
He'll do that. He's pretty good about that, especially when you go to his treat cabinet. He almost runs there instantly. And he knows where it is. It's just getting him to stay there.
Yeah. So for us, like, it's indefinite. So if I tell him to place for 3 hours, he's going to be there for 3 hours.
Right.
Okay. So this is something that we can use when guests come over, in case. So I can help him learn to trust people.
Yep.
To open up to guests.
Yep.
I can't guarantee that can happen. If he's just like, I don't like these people, he just doesn't like
Right,
it. You know?
right.
And there's times where dogs will like a lot of people. Like they'll come out of their shell, but then there'll be a couple of people that just, they don't. It makes sense, you know, like it happens. But that's where place comes into play. Okay. So we got those. That's 4 classes there.
Yep.
Okay. We have social pressure,
Yep.
which is me petting him and all that stuff. See what he does. We have how do we introduce him to people correctly? So that's a class.
Yep.
We have how do we have people enter the home correctly? That's a class. It's already putting us at 7, right? So if you did 9, that leaves us with 2 there.
Yep.
1 might be over reactivity. My assumption is it's going to go away with just the heel classes. In case they don't, then that's a class, right? And then there's 9, and that could be whatever.
Yeah.
If you did 12, it gives us more of a buffer time.
Yeah.
Because I go, okay, we have more than enough, and then it leaves space also to do like the off-leash type stuff.
Right.
Okay. Everything's easy. It just takes time and repetition.
Right.
And that's where I tell you, like, we have everything now. Go and practice for a month.
Yep.
And then come back when you're ready for class 10.
Yep.
Right. And then we build like that. I've even had some clients where they would do 1 through 9, like in the summer of 1 year, and then they came back the next year, and then they wrapped up classes.
Got it.
10 through 12. The classes don't expire. We just ask that clients tell us what they want to do.
Sure.
If I don't make any suggestions myself, and then Tina handles the calendar and stuff. Okay.
I think too, another thing for us is like understanding his cues.
Reading body language.
Yeah, because, and I think even when he's like ready to go, his tail's still going crazy. And like growing up, that was like, oh, if his tail's wagging, it means he's excited and he's fine. You know, or when he tucks his ears or whatever. I think we need a better understanding of like, hey, this doesn't mean he's excited to meet this person.
Wagging tail doesn't always mean happy.
Yeah.
One thing I can recommend to you now is, are you familiar with Cesar Milan?
Yes.
The dog whisperer?
Yeah.
Do you have Disney Plus?
I think so.
I think if I'm remembering correctly, his original show, The Dog Whisperer, is on Disney Plus.
Okay.
Watch that.
Okay.
Because you can rewind and rewatch, right? Your dog gives you only little opportunity to learn to read, right? Because it's only like, oh, now his hackles are up.
Right.
Oh, now he's like bowing his head, right?
Yeah.
It's all momentary. And once it's gone, it's gone. Whereas with the TV, you can rewind and rewatch. And that's actually how I learned to read Dog by Lynch. Literally watching Dog Whisperer 1 through 5 over and over again. And he's like 98% on it when it comes to describing dog behavior.
Right.
So anytime anybody asks me about, I need to learn how to read dog behavior better, I just tell them watch Cesar Milan.
Okay.
There's a lot of people on YouTube too. You know, I can't speak to many of them because I don't really watch that stuff anymore. Like I live it every day.
Yeah.
But that's an easy way, you know. And the 2% where I don't agree with him, I think is really just translational stuff.
Sure.
You know, because English is a second language, so I think he's just not communicating clearly. But otherwise, everything is pretty spot on. Recognizing anxiety, recognizing nervousness, recognizing when a dog is loading.
Yeah.
You know, when a dog is anxious and all that stuff. Like he's really spot on.
Okay.
Okay.
So I guess what would be the next steps? Reach out to
Tina. So I email her and I tell her this is my recommendations, and then she'll either reach out to you, or if you reach out first, you go, hey Tina, sign us up. We want X amount of classes. So we do 3, 6, 9, and 12-week programs. Okay, 9 is the minimum I'd recommend. 12 is a good one in case, especially if you want off-leash stuff, because it gives us more time to discover everything.
Yep.
Okay,
I think
there won't be any wasted classes.
Yeah.
And if you give her you and your wife's schedule, she can then look at my calendar and see where she can place you, and then get you started.
Sweet.
Okay? You're coming at a good time because now things start to switch. Like I got boarding trains out of nowhere because in this weather, like people are like, I'd rather just board my dog instead of training outside.
Right.
So now my in-persons are starting to like slow down. And stuff. Okay.
Cool.
Anything else?
No, I think that's it.
Awesome.
I think we'd probably want to do the 12.
Sure. Talk about it with your wife and stuff like that. If you do 9, you can always add 3. However, it is more expensive. We don't prorate programs.
Okay.
So if you do 12 up front, it is cheaper per class.
Okay.
Okay. And then there'll be the e-collar as well, which is the black edition. It's meant for a 70-pound dog and over.
Okay.
It's perfectly safe to use on any size dog. It just means we get more from less.
Okay.
So if your dog goes into an aggressive state, I'm not worried about, are we going to have enough pressure to turn this off?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know what it's going to be until we start working with your dog, but if your dog ends up needing 127 to stop the behavior, if you're not willing to do that, we're not going to stop the behavior.
Right.
It's very rare, but I always paint worst case scenario for people. So if we end up there, they're like, well, Jesse did say this is a possibility, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, if I paint it like, yes, it's going to be easy peasy, smooth sailing, and it's like terrible, you're like, Jesse fucking lied to me.
Right.
So, but most of the time it is straightforward. Every now and then, and the only reason why I say that is because you have a pit mix.
Right.
Okay. Pitties and blue heelers are some of the craziest dogs that I've worked with in 15 years. Mainly because, pitties were bred to withstand pain.
Right.
Because they were meant to fight dogs.
Right.
So their threshold for pressure a lot of times is very high.
Yeah.
Okay. But I've even had to put 2 collars on some dogs. The dog actually that I mentioned, the burner, he's actually on 2 collars.
Is he?
Because he's that scared of trains.
Right.
I called the owner up and I had told her during the consult, I was like, by the way, worst case scenario, this is it. I'm glad I did. Because 1 collar, he was maxed out, he didn't care about it.
Yeah.
He was that scared of the train. Because this is where I was training him.
Right.
So I was right here and he's like, it's right there. So I was like,
4 minutes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So then with the 2 collars, he's actually made a ton of progress. And his video's on my YouTube too, if you just want to get an idea.
Okay.
And see what how he's doing.
First class, we would have the e-collar already.
Yes or no. Like you might pick it up here.
Okay.
Some clients like to order it and pick it up and then like read it and stuff. Or some clients will just order it and they'll just pick it up on their first class. If you get it through us, it is 10% off.
Okay.
I don't care where you get it from, as long as you get the correct model.
Right.
Okay. That's pretty much it.
Okay. Sweet.
All right.
Awesome.
Anything else?
No, I don't think so.
Well,
I appreciate it.
Nice meeting you, Corey.
Yeah, you too.
Sorry again for
Thank
the
you.
inconvenience.
No, it's all good.
I'll grab your mic and put it down. You need to use the bathroom or anything before you go?
No, I'm all set. Thank you.